The time by Kyrie Chris is 6 p.m. Time for CBX Business News. The business news headlines is brought to you by CBX Wealth Management, making more possible. Major tax recoveries, Caribbean insurance risks, and the US dollar under pressure amid Middle East talks. Hello, welcome to CBX Business News for Monday, June 16, 2025. I'm Yanil Wood. Thanks for joining us. Coming up in the newscast locally, Tax Administration Jamaica recovers over Jamaican $18 billion in outstanding taxes through its Special Arrears Settlement Program. On the regional front, Grenadian Prime Minister warns high insurance costs are threatening coverage for Caribbean tourism businesses amid rising hurricane risks. And over on the global stage, US dollar hits three-year low as Iran hints at nuclear talks, challenging its safe haven status amid Israel tensions. Stay tuned as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Wealth is not simply counted in dollars or cents, but in the time we spend with love, in love, giving love. Wealth is not simply a means to an end. It is the means to live out loud. Wealth is more than money. It's about family, the memories you create, the legacy you leave behind, and your ability to enjoy life in the moment. It's also about seeing the QMAX possibilities and seizing investment opportunities to achieve the future you want and deserve. Which is why QMAX Wealth will focus on your investments so you can experience more. Because true wealth is truly more. To start investing today, call 876-926-7767.
Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances Limited has been a part of Jamaica's manufacturing landscape for over 20 years. By crafting unique flavors and fragrances, we have become a part of your favorite household and food items such as beverages, ice cream, household cleaners, and much more. Known throughout the Caribbean for the highest quality, we continue to innovate with strong leadership, a dedicated team with integrity. We go the extra mile for our customers. Create the next taste sensation. Contact us at 876-923-5111 or visit our website, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn pages.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with news coming from Tax Administration of Jamaica. The Jamaican Government Special Arrears Settlement Program, SASP, administered by Tax Administration Jamaica TAJ, has successfully recovered over 18.6 billion Jamaican dollars in outstanding taxes, while providing business persons with relief exceeding $6 billion in interest, penalties, and surcharges. The SASP, which concluded on May 31 this year, has resulted in waivers and removals from taxpayer accounts covering approximately 60,000 tax periods. These relate to various tax categories including asset tax, corporate income tax, education tax, PAYE, individual income tax, and partnership income tax. Ultimately, more than Jamaican $30 billion worth of interest, penalties, and surcharges, IPS, will be removed from taxpayer accounts, significantly reducing the debt outstanding on the books of TAJ. During the period of the program, which ran for a little over 4 months, TAJ compliance officers made over 50,000 contacts to persons with outstanding balances, resulting in over 10,000 taxpayers indicating a willingness to pay all or part of their principal taxes. Conducted up to June 5 have resulted in the removal of Jamaican $5,351,598 in interest, penalties, and surcharges. TAJ is advising taxpayers that further system configurations are underway to automatically remove charges related to General Consumption Tax (GCT), Special Consumption Tax (SCT), and PAYE late payment of income tax. Jamaica is undertaking a bold reform of its tourism labor force with the Tourism Enhancement Fund TEF at the helm. Minister of Tourism Edmund Bartlett announced the bold new direction at the TEF's annual stakeholder seminar held last Friday at the Montego Bay Convention Center in St. James. As Jamaica reimagines the future of tourism, the Tourism Enhancement Fund has been charged to lead a transformational shift toward a more sustainable, inclusive, and circular tourism economy, one that strengthens local communities, empowers the workforce, and increases the retention of tourism spend across the island. Minister Bartlett indicated that TEF is no longer just enhancing tourism infrastructure. It is now a driver of national development, community resilience, and economic self-reliance. The new tourism is about purpose, people, and prosperity, he emphasized. At the heart of TEF's expanded role is a strategy to create a robust and future-ready workforce. Nearly 30,000 tourism workers have already been certified through the Jamaica Center for Tourism Innovation, JCTI, a TEF initiative delivered in partnership with international certifying bodies. This includes certification for executive sous chefs, an unprecedented move in the Caribbean, and training academies in gastronomy and the performing arts for youth and high school students. In all the news, Main Event Entertainment generated revenue of $306.368 million for the second quarter ended April 30, 2025. In its unaudited financial statements for Quarter 2, Main Event says its revenue represents a decline of $112.207 million, or 27%, compared to Quarter 2 of 2024. For the half year, the company's revenue was $891.395 million, reflecting a reduction of $94.932 million, or 10%, relative to the corresponding period last year. This contraction in revenue is primarily attributable to continued softness in core event categories, most notably entertainment and promotions and M-style decor. Main Event says its performance was impacted by a combination of lower client marketing spend, fewer large-scale productions, and the non-recurrence of several high-value projects that contributed materially to the prior year's second quarter. Meanwhile, gross profit for the quarter was $165.818 million compared to $198.064 million in the second quarter of 2024, a decline of $32.246 million, or 16%. For these 6 months, Main Event's gross profit amounted to $467.485 million, down $46.402 million, or 9%, relative to the same period last year. The company recorded a net loss of $9.337 million for the quarter, compared to a net profit of $20.016 million in Quarter 2 of 2024. For the 6-month period, net profit stood at $64.329 million, a decrease of $55.942 million, or 47%, from the $120.271 million earned in the comparative period. This swing was primarily driven by the reduction in revenue and other operating income, which was not fully offset by cost reductions. Now, the company reported a loss per share of 3 cents for the second quarter, compared to an earnings per share of 7 cents in the prior year. For the 6-month period, EPS was 21 cents, down from 40 cents in 2024. And from main event, we go to BOJ for foreign currency trading news. In Monday's trading session, the US dollar is selling for $159.91, the Canadian for $118.41, the pound will go for $216.92, while $186.60 is the going rate for the euro. And now for news from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. 107 stocks traded on the JSE Monday, of which 35 advanced, 50 declined, and 22 traded firm. The winners were led by Epley, 7.75% preference shares, R.A. Williams Distributors, 138 Student Living Jamaica Variable Preference, and Epley Caribbean Property Fund, SCC. While leading the losers were Lasco Manufacturing, Sagicor Real Estate X Fund, Access Financial Services, and Paramount Trading Jamaica. Now, the main index declined by 2,500.31 points, or 0.80%, to close at 311,327.83. The junior market index also declined, but by 4.23, or 0.12%, to close at 3,395.09. And it's time for Market Education Feature, brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standard. In today's Market Education Feature, we will be delving into the term strategic management. Strategic management is the process of evaluating and adjusting a company's resources and strategies to achieve new goals. It involves analyzing both the external competitive environment and the internal organization to identify opportunities and threats. Leaders review past strategies and current conditions to decide whether to adopt existing plans or adopt new guiding principles. Success depends not only on the strategies themselves, but also on how well they're implemented throughout the company. Now, an organization's ability to meet its objective is strongly influenced by its employees' skills, its corporate culture, and its structural setup. Effective strategic management ensures these elements align to support growth and competitive advantage. The Market Education Feature was brought to you by CariCris, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. And that's it for Market Education Feature and the end of the local segment. Please stay with us. The regional business news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Derriman Trading, better from the start. Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses. And Pulse Investments. Welcome back. And now for the regional business news. Caribbean private sector businesses, particularly in the vital tourism industry, are increasingly facing challenges securing insurance coverage due to soaring costs and heightened hurricane risks. Prime Minister of Grenada, Deacon Mitchell, is warning that this trend could leave key economic sectors vulnerable without innovative, sector-wide insurance solutions. Speaking recently during an event on strengthening U.S. Caribbean cooperation on natural disaster readiness, Prime Minister Mitchell says parametric insurance, designed to provide rapid payouts after disasters, has proven invaluable in countries like Grenada, where it helped fund immediate hurricane relief. However, he noted that steep premiums make it difficult for many businesses to afford consistent coverage, limiting broader adoption across the region.
The need to expand parametric insurance is something that is critical, and one of the reasons for this is that from a private sector perspective, particularly the tourism plant and the tourism industry, which we are heavily dependent on, in some instances, some of our hoteliers and other suppliers are becoming uninsurable, not because of their own doing, but because insurance companies are reluctant to take the necessary risk on insuring them because of the challenges posed by hurricanes and other disasters. And so taking a broader sector approach to insurance is one way to also help provide individual coverage, at least some coverage, for our individual stakeholders within any given sector.
Prime Minister of Grenada, Deacon Mitchell. Finance Minister Dr. Ashley Singh is calling on Guyana's banking sector to move beyond conservative lending practices that rely mainly on land or fixed assets as collateral. Speaking during a Jamaican export and investment mission in Guyana, Dr. Singh acknowledged the bank's prudent approach but stressed the need for more aggressive lending to support private sector growth. He highlighted recent government policy changes, including legislation allowing movable assets such as equipment, inventory, and vehicles to be used as collateral. Additionally, the government is encouraging banks to accept financial assets like receivables and invoices for loan security, practices common in more sophisticated banking systems. The legal framework is now in place, Dr. Singh says. He added that banks need to respond and step out of their historic comfort zone of risk-averse lending. With Guyana's economy rapidly transforming, especially beyond the oil sector, the finance minister emphasized that improving access to credit is critical for building a diversified and resilient economy, enabling private businesses to scale up and thrive. And following the sudden halt of Silver Airways' operations on June 11, the government of the Bahamas says it is actively engaging airline partners to ensure continued air connectivity between Florida and key Bahamian destinations. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Tourism, Investments and Aviation, Chester Cooper, confirmed that Bahamas Air, the national carrier, will increase flight capacity on affected routes beginning June 23.
We've already engaged Bahamas Air directly about what additional routes that we might provide. We're looking at the data. We're going to make the assessment over the next day or two, and we'll take some decisions as to the next steps in the best interest of Bahamas Air and the best interest of Bahamas tourism. But we're looking at it actively at the moment. Over the course of the next few days, we'll know more.
Tourism Minister Chester Cooper. Silver Airways, a Florida-based regional airline, abruptly halted operations after failing to successfully restructure under Chapter 11 bankruptcy protections. The airline's assets were acquired by another company that opted not to continue flight services, leading to an immediate shutdown. And from Bahamas, we go to Trinidad and Tobago for news from TTSE. 18 securities traded on the TTSE Monday, of which 5 advanced, 5 declined, and 8 traded firm. Leading the winners were Trinidad Cement, Agostinis Limited, the West Indian Tobacco Company, and First Citizens Group Financial Holdings, while the losers were led by CIBC Caribbean Bank, Unilever Caribbean, Trinidad and Tobago NGL, and Scotiabank TNT. Other results include the All TNT Index advancing by 4.25 to close at 1,515.27. The Composite Index declined by 2.43 to close at 1,035.57. And the Cross-Listed Index also declined, but by 1.34 to close at 73.11. And still remaining at 91.81 is the SME Index. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment with Rondine Williams is up next.
I'm trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
I'm also trading stocks to achieve my financial goals.
Start a conversation with the Jamaica Stock Exchange.
Check jamstockx.com for information and a list of registered stockbrokers. You can also call the Jamaica Stock Exchange at 876-967-3271 for information on how to begin. I am achieving my financial goals.
I'm achieving my financial goals.
Welcome back. In international news, the US dollar index extended its decline to 97.8 on Monday, revisiting levels last seen in 2022 as investors scale back risk-off positions amid easing geopolitical tensions. Market sentiments improved following reports that Iran signaled a willingness to resume negotiations over its nuclear program. According to the Wall Street Journal, Tehran has informed Arab officials that it is open to talks on the condition that the United States refrain from participating in ongoing military actions, citing unnamed sources. This development comes as Israel and Iran continued their military exchanges for a fourth consecutive day. Meanwhile, investor focus is shifting to a busy week of central bank meetings, with particular attention on the Federal Reserves. While the Fed is widely expected to maintain the federal fund rate, markets will be closely analyzing the central bank's update economic projections, especially for insights into how policymakers assess the broader economic impact of President Donald Trump's policies. In energy market news, WTI crude oil futures fell more than 4% to $69.50 per barrel on Monday, partially reverting Friday's sharp 7% rally as concerns over a broader Israel-Iran conflict begin to ease. Market sentiments shifted after reports emerged that Iran is open to a de-escalation resuming nuclear negotiations contingent on U.S. staying out of the conflict. Tehran reportedly conveyed this message both to Washington and Tel Aviv through Arab intermediaries. This more conciliatory tone helped calm investor nerves, prompting a pullback from risk-averse positions. Meanwhile, traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, a vital artery for global oil shipments, showed only a slight dip, with 111 vessels passing through on June 15 compared to 116 on June 12. The data suggests no significant disruptions to oil flows, though the strait remains a critical choke point, handling approximately 20% of the world's oil trade. And a shift in focus to the financial services sector, with two major players making strategic moves. JP Morgan Chase and American Express are preparing major updates to their flagship premium credit cards, signaling a renewed battle for eyeing consumers. JP Morgan announced last week that a refresh of its popular Sapphire Reserve card is imminent, marking the first significant overhaul since its viral debut in 2016. In response, American Express revealed on Monday that major changes are coming later this year to both its consumer and business platinum cards. Industry analysts expect both issuers to expand their offerings in travel, dining, and exclusive experiences such as concerts and events, potentially accommodated by higher annual fees. The move reflects intensifying competition in the premium credit card space as issuers seek to attract affluent, experience-driven customers in a post-pandemic travel boom. And turning now to news from Asia. China's retail sales rose to 6.4% year-on-year in May 2025, accelerating from 5.1% in April and surpassing market expectations of 5%. This marks the strongest growth since 2023 of December, driven by robust holiday spending during Labor Day and the Dragon Boat Festival, as well as government support measures aimed at offsetting the impact of U.S. tariff and boosting consumption, particularly through subsidies on electric goods. Sales growth were broad-based across most categories. Grain, oil, and food climbed to 14.6% year-on-year, slightly higher than 14% recorded in April. Tobacco and alcohol surged 11.2%, up sharply from 4% in the previous month. Clothing and footwear also gained momentum, growing by 4% compared to 2.2% in April. The sports and entertainment category saw a significant decrease of 28.3%, up from 23.3%, while personal care items rose by 8%, edging higher than April's 7.6%. Household appliance recorded the most pronounced jump, surging by 53% year-on-year, well above the 38.8% growth in April. Sales of gold and silver jewelry increased by 21.8%, though slightly down from 25.3% the month before. Office supplies grew by 30.5%, easing from 33.5%. In the automotive segment, sales edged up by 1.1% compared to 0.7% in April. Building materials, however, saw a slowdown, rising by 5.8% after posting a 9.7% gain previously. The only major category to experience a marked deceleration was medicine, which grew just by 0.3%, down from 2.6% in April. For the first 5 months of 2025, total retail turnover increased by 5% year-over-year. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of this break.
Welcome back, and now a recap of our top stories. In the local news, TAJ recovers over 18 billion Jamaican dollars in outstanding taxes through its special arrears settlement program. Regionally, high insurance costs threatening coverage for Caribbean tourism businesses amid rising hurricane risks. And internationally, US dollar hits 3-year low as Iran hints at nuclear talks. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of Rondine Williams and the entire production team, I'm Yanil Wood, thanking you for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.
Welcome to another episode of the B&E Show. My name is J.R. Watkins, and this week I have another special guest. His name is Stephen Price. He has been in the entertainment business, as well as he's a